Yo, what is going on, you guys? Welcome back to another video on the channel. Today, I'm coming at you guys with a post-Cyberstorm Access video. I've been watching a lot of content on Cyberstorm Access. A lot of people are already testing the new cards from the set. It's mainly going to be super heavy samurai stuff, and purely stuff is the main stuff you want to watch out for. Also, some gold pride stuff is coming out that is supposed to be pretty decent to help the deck. You know, some gold pride stuff and some Matadome stuff, which also looks really cool, which you can combo with the Scareclaw stuff. But mainly, I want to talk about super heavy samurai. Super heavy samurai is looking like a very toxic deck. You know, one card combos, end on floor, Apo, Regulus, like, you know what it really reminds me of is it kind of reminds me when I like first kind of started getting back into Yu-Gi-Oh! And everybody was trying to end on like Savage, Apo, and like just generic good cards that they could easily make. Like that was a main end board, like Savage, Apo, some other like Synchro. It reminds me a lot of that, you know, because that's what they're trying to go for. And obviously, as you guys know, the Super Heavy Samurai can't play any spells, traps inside the deck. So Super Heavy Samurai is going to be a top tier contender. It's going to be a very good deck. Purely is another deck that's going to be very good. And I also want to throw in Herald of the Abyss because we're going to talk about some counters for this stuff. A lot of people, since I just added it, we'll go ahead and talk about it. A lot of people in the OCG are playing Herald of the Abyss to out X Purely Noir. You guys should know this by now. A lot of people talk about it. You pay 1,500 life points to declare one monster type and attribute. You do the one, whatever the Noir is. You declare that type and you declare that attribute, and your opponent sends one, and it's not you doing that. So it's not like the X Purely Noir is affected by that. It's affecting the player, and the player has to do it. So it's not affecting the card, it's affecting the player, and the player has to fulfill an action like evenly matched. So you guys should know that by now, but just in case you didn't, that's what that does. This way, with the Herald of the Abyss, you can actually stop them from adding 3 quick play spells back to your hand, which is a really good follow-up. So this card says if a face-up purely exceeds monster you control leaves the field because of an opponent's card, even during the damage step, which is crazy, you can add up to 3 purely quick play spells with different names. Remember, different names from your graveyard to your hand. So it has to add from grave, and it has to be all different names, and it's up to 3. So if you only have 1 or 2, you can add 1 or 2. Also in the purely deck, they are playing cards to discard, such as Snow and to Brow. Also, people are trying the Rainbow Bridge of Salvation, and adding the Secret Village from deck to hand. So some ways that you can stop this is Shifter. Like Shifter kind of just destroys, and so does this, bro. Like if these cards don't get touched on the ban list, like Kashtira probably will still be the best deck because neither purely a little bit better, but Super Heavy Samurai definitely cannot play under the Macrocosmos. So Kashtira, unless it gets banned, in my opinion, I think will still be the best deck because going second into a Rise Heart, a lot of these decks from Cyberstorm Access just literally can't play. Shifter also counters the hand traps that people are playing. A lot of people are playing Ghost Ogre because of Super Heavy Samurai. You know, you Ghost Ogre the Wakoshi, and you can also Droll them. Like, Droll is really good against them because that deck searches like 200 times when they're playing. So if you read both of these cards, they have to go to hand to grave, and this one also send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard. So if Kashtira players start seeing this trend, it's possible that they start main decking Shifter. Of course, this depends on the landscape of the format. Like, is there a lot more Super Heavy Samurai, or is there a lot more Kashtira? But if Kashtira does get hit on the ban list, and it, like Unicorn and Fenrir go down to 1, I think if like Unicorn and Fenrir go down to 1, I think it's still manageable. That Kashtira could be the best deck, but if they get hit decently hard, then it might not be anymore because it will lose a lot of consistency. But Shifter, if a lot of people are playing the Super Heavy Samurai, a lot of the new stuff, then I think Shifter will be a really good option if you're trying to play Kashtira, because this, like, we know that Shifter is a crazy card. Like we all know that. It hits not only these new decks, but it hits a lot of the old decks, Runic, Mathmech, Branded to a certain extent. So Shifter, I think next format will be a really popular card, especially if stuff like these decks keep popping up. Because if you think about it, like if you're Shifter and you have to discard, you're not getting this, If you're playing the Rainbow Bridge, you're not getting that. You're not adding back from Graveyard. I don't know the Purely deck super well, but I'm sure it's just annoying to not play with the Graveyard. Also, Dark Ruler no more. If you're going up against Super Heavy Samurai, is really, really good because they have a bunch of monsters and a whole bunch of monster negates, and you go Dark Ruler no more, GG. Because they can't play spells and traps, so there's no way they can, spell trap negate it somehow or whatever. So Dark Ruler no more. It's good right now. It's gonna be even better next format, in my opinion. It's not good against Purely, obviously, because they're unaffected, so it literally does nothing. But Sprite, I'm sure is still gonna be in the format, next format. So Dark Ruler no more, just a generically good card, really good against Rogue deck, Sword Soul, whole bunch of stuff Dark Ruler covers. Even Kashtira to a certain extent if they don't lock all your back row. You guys see it, bro. Perform Pal 5 Rainbow Magician. Why is branded always the toxic deck, bro? Why is it branded that's always the extremely toxic deck? So people are starting to play this. This is actually an FTK against Super Heavy Samurai. This card says its pendulum effect is each player applies one of these effects based on the number of set cards in their spell trap zone. Obviously, Super Heavy Samurai plays 0 spells and traps, so they don't have any cards to set in their spell trap zone. An easy way to play through this card or around this card, or with this card on the field even, is just set a card. You set one card, and then you can activate your monster effects and attack. So yeah, if you have no sets in your spell trap zone, all monsters they control cannot attack or activate their effects. And it's a light monster, so you can dump it off fusion. And even if it's in the grave, its monster effect is if either player sets a spell trap on your field while this card is in your graveyard, you can place this card in your pen zone. So you just go end phase Albion set, and you get to bring back the Perform Power 5 Rainbow Magician. And if you're playing against Super Heavy Samurai, it's literally just an FTK because they can only out this card with, I think it is Archfiend Eccentric Pendulum. You can target one other spell trap card on the field, destroy both it and this card. So Archfiend Eccentric is a pop, which you could pop. So this is their out, is Archfiend Eccentric, and I don't even know if they play it, to be honest. But yeah. So moving on from that, I'm thinking Ash is going to be a little bit less popular next format. Obviously, the hand trap decks are always going to play Ash, or usually probably going to always play Ash. It might get substituted for Ogre, because Ash kind of seems really mid against everything except for branded. So Ash might get cut down a little bit, which obviously helps branded, makes branded better because you're going to get Ashed on branded fusion less. With people playing Ghost Ogre and Troll, these different kind of hand traps right here. Like the Super Heavy Samurai deck will probably play Ash, I'm assuming, because they can't play monsters, so they don't have the option to throw in something like a Dark Ruler no more or something like that, or Herald. Like they're very limited in terms of what they can do. Another card is I think is going to be really good. It's really good right now. This card's always really good, but Gamma on Droll is really good. If you're playing Super Heavy Samurai, Gamma on Shifter is pretty good. So yeah, I think Gamma will definitely gain more popularity as well, along with Droll and Ghost Ogre. Shifter, I think, is going to move to the main deck. Like I said, this is a new branded FTK for the Super Heavy Samurai matchup. Ash, I think, is going to get a little bit less popular. Herald of the Abyss is going to get more popular. Remember, it's affecting the player. Kashtira doesn't get hit on the ban list. This card is still one of the best cards in the game, so I think that people will have a really hard time beating Kashtira, even with these new decks. If they don't get hit, at all, I think it will definitely still be the best deck. But even if they do get hit, I think there's a good chance that it could still be, a tier 1 deck. Main deck Shifter is scary. Yeah, man, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Quick little video for you guys today. I'll be posting more videos very soon, and I'm out.